The tactics that will win Brazil the 2022 World Cup. We're going to go through a little bit of analysis today, talk about some key players and some key tweaks Tite has made to make his Brazil side a lot more like Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. Brazil on paper line up in a 4-2-3-1. But I think a few interesting tweaks have been made through the group stages into the last 16 that have made Brazil a much better side as a whole. I think first and foremost, what we saw with Brazil going into the tournament was basically a kind of a 4-1-4-1 shape, where Paquetá would move from a defensive midfield position and move into an attacking midfield inside right position, allowing Neymar to play inside left and having be flanked by two wingers, and Richarlison through the middle providing the width. The interesting side here, Casemiro would move to defensive midfield, but Brazil would retain their back four shape, and they'd play through the central defensive midfielder or play down the line. But at times, Brazil's possession play was very easy to deal with, and teams would basically block off the passes to Neymar and Paquetá and force them to go wide, or if they did play into the congested zone, it would be difficult for Neymar and Paquetá to get turned. But there has been a slight tactical tweak that we're going to go through today, where Brazil are now more reminiscent of a old school footballing formation in terms of the WM. What we see in a possession sense is Danilo moving from the left back position into central midfield. Danilo is a right-footed left back who'll move into that centre zone and look to get on the ball. What this creates for Brazil is a lot of passing options as Thiago Silva filters a little bit out to the left-hand side, Eder Militao tucks in and Marquinhos sits in the middle, which basically converts Brazil into this WM formation. Tactically, we've seen Guardiola do this time and time again, with João Cancelo taking up this inverted position, moving from that right back slot inside, forcing someone like Gundogan into a higher position that starts in a deep 4-2-3-1 shape, then moves into possession into attacking midfield. And I think this change is massive for Brazil. Number one, it creates a diamond shape or a kind of hexagon shape in central midfield. We're talking, could be a number of different ways. If Paquetá and Neymar move wide, then we've got that kind of base of two and wide players, similar to maybe an Arsenal. We've seen that over and over again with Odegaard and Granit Xhaka moving high, and of course Zinchenko moving in from left back into that central area. Or alternatively, we see a diamond at times with Neymar at the tip of it, Danilo and Paquetá and Casemiro sitting at the base of it, creating a diamond structure. Again, the amount of options that Brazil now have on the ball versus the first few games is just so much better. And someone like Danilo, who's had a pretty interesting career, you'd say he's not the most attacking fullback, he's not the best defensive fullback, but he's a good fullback in possession. In the 72 minutes that he played in this inverted position versus South Korea, he had 79 touches of the football, which was more than any other player. And I feel this is going to allow Brazil to get the ball to their wingers faster and allow those guys to attack. Because actually, if we break down the most important players for Brazil in this tournament and the players that are already contributing from a goal-scoring perspective and a creative perspective, it's been Rafinha on the right-hand side, created 4 chances against South Korea, more than any other player on the pitch. Also had 4 shots in the game, so directly involved in 8 shots for Brazil. But also Vinicius Jr., a goal and an assist on that left-hand side. Arguably, Rafinha's getting more of the ball. He's the guy dribbling and carrying. And then Vinicius is making that last motion in the box, be it a finishing off a move or playing that last pass to create an opportunity. And I think those two guys are massively key for Brazil. In terms of the overall shape, we can see at the moment, as we mentioned, that kind of like diamond shape creating in midfield with a number of different options, a number of different diamond positions in there, but also the wingers being super high. If we take a look at Danilo's average positions, it is inside. We can see him near the centre circle, moving into that area, completed 93% of his passes against South Korea and was such an important part of the team. But I also think the back three gives Brazil more options to play fast, to play into midfield, to play aggressively. And if we take a look at Brazil's opening goal against South Korea, it's a really good option of how Brazil are looking to play through the lines. If we pick the play up with Brazil in their kind of shape, their new shape that we've come to see in this World Cup. Brazil now dominating from a possession perspective. We can see at the moment Eder Militao's in possession in a right full-back position. We can clearly see a defined back three, a two-man midfield and a front five containing the two wingers. Richarlison through the middle, Neymar inside left, Paquetá inside right. I think this going forward is a very, very good shape for Brazil. It allows them to progress the play super fast from the outside centre-backs into the wingers. And that's Brazil's creators, and that's how we're seeing the best Brazil at the moment in the tournament. Through this play for the opening goal inside 6 minutes. Ball progressed out wide to Rafinha. Again, we can see the slight stagnation in the midfield of Danilo and Casemiro, very much as a midfield pairing versus Danilo playing in a wide position or slightly inverted. It's very obvious here. I think what that gets as the move goes through is we can see the double pivot being an option for a backwards pass at all times. Again, Paquetá stretching the defence with that forward underlap. This is more something that we'd see from a Manchester City. Kevin De Bruyne making the underlap on a Riyad Mahrez when he's receiving out wide. But as well, with the ability of Brazil in these wide areas, they're dribbling. We spoke about two of their wingers, the likes of Rafinha on the bench, Rodrigo on the bench, Neymar could play wide. They've got so many options in these wide areas, and that should be where their progression's going, and it should be where their chances are being created. In this move, of course, Rafinha checks inside, beats two markers. And that commitment of these two South Korean defenders opens up other areas of the pitch for Brazil to score, causes their two remaining players in their midfield a lot of ground to cover, and that obviously results in the goal. So shifting inside, Rafinha's got that option to play back to Casemiro, who can instantly go forward. Again, the simple progression from playing from the outside centre-back out to the winger pulls the South Korean midfield over. They both get beaten in the dribble, and you're opening up a straight pass into the feet of Paquetá in between the lines of South Korea looking to attack. The plays progress, and of course there's a challenge in from the South Korean player. Ball breaks to Rafinha, and we've seen this over and over again. This is a key part of Brazil's attack. They are attacking with 5 players in most attacks. On the counter-attack as well, we'll see a similar thing where the ball will be wide, the creation comes from a wide area, then they'll flood 4 other bodies into the box. This is opening up massive opportunities for Brazil in an attacking sense. In this move, of course, Rafinha gets to the byline, cuts the ball back to Vinicius Jr. on the back post, and he does the rest. And it's quite simple in a sense of looking from a tactical element, for this kind of play that we've just seen. The front 5 is made, the midfield 2 are in there. The ball, of course, starts at the feet of Militao. Because of the narrowness of, the Brazilian kind of right-hand side, that pass into the feet of Rafinha is on all the time. That, of course, creates opportunity. Go back to Casemiro, up, back through. Paquetá then back to Rafinha, and then you flood the bodies into the box. And it's so simple in terms of from a footballing perspective, and it creates such a big opportunity for Vinicius Jr. in the penalty area to put the ball home. And I think from a tactical element, this new shape and this new way of how Brazil are playing with Danilo in this central position is only going to make them a harder team to play against. I really do believe that. I think that without that, in the 4-1-4-1 build-up, I think teams could catch them out in certain moments. But now I feel that Brazil have really got a structure that reflects European football. And yes, they didn't dominate the game like a Man City, which is still a concern that I have with Brazil. They do switch it on. You take a look at the game against South Korea, what they scored, 4 goals inside 36 minutes. And yeah, the game was done and dusted there. But when you look at the top sides in European football, they'll continue to dominate the football. They'll continue to open up their opponents. And from that point, you'd argue that South Korea arguably, created some good opportunities and created some good chances. So that's something for Brazil to work on, going forward. But I think the ability of them being able to play through the lines and play out from the back now is going to be something that we didn't really see before. Brazil, of course, are the only nation that have used all 26 players of their squad, which is pretty impressive. And against South Korea, they completed more dances than South Korea had shots on target in the first half. The transitions there, the possession games there, this is the shape, the WM system that will win the World Cup for Brazil if they continue with it. I think that is the big thing. If they do go back to the 4-1-4-1, they could see themselves in a bit of a mess from a possession perspective. They need to retain this shape, retain this system. It gets the best out of the wide attackers, which can, create for the interiors with Neymar, Paquetá, and of course Richarlison being the goal scorers in this team. Perfect shape, perfect system, fits European football. Brazil, the clear favourites for this World Cup. Let me know what you think in the comments below, guys. Who is your favourites right now? I'm still backing Argentina to go and win the thing, but Brazil are clear favourites right now. The football they're playing at times, really good. Again, guys, check out SofaScore if you haven't already. Great app where you can see all World Cup heat maps, statistics, expected goals, and all that good stuff. Subscribe if you're new. We'll see you later.